next month. Have to repeat it again.
Third time's the.
All right, this time it'd be perfect. Welcome to the March Community Board 7 Transportation Committee meeting. If you were here for the e-bike discussion and the e-bike resolution, that has been postponed until next month. Our apologies if that was not reflected on the agenda before you came here. But it will be at our April meeting, which will be the second Tuesday in April, whichever date of the week that is. And so with that, I'm Ken Coughlin. I'm co-chair of the committee. Sophia Vella,
Hi.
my co-chair. We have to adopt the agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. And a couple of housekeeping items. First of all, we lost a member who's been a member of this committee for at least 45 years. Just resigned from the board, Andrew Albert. And I personally am going to miss his presence on this committee. But I did email with him and asked him if he'd be willing. He was giving us regular MTA updates. And he said that he'd be willing to continue those if the news warrants it. So it won't be every month, but if there's news that he deems worthy of sharing with us, he'll either come here in person or virtually. And so yeah.
I just wanted to say, as somebody who worked with him really closely for my 15 years, he was great to work with, as his leadership in particular on not just transit issues, but on just like the board in general is really going to be missed. For those in the public, he remains on the MTA board, and he is a long-standing, true civic transportation expert on all things mass transit. So hopefully you'll see him at MTA board meetings for sure, and hopefully back at these monthly meetings.
Yeah, he's an MTA public member, and yeah, his expertise is incredible here. We were so lucky to have him.
Every line, every train. If you ever want to know anything about any of your stops, just look him up, Andrew Albert. He'll have the answer for you. He's like a total savant.
His presence will be sorely missed.
Nobody knew the bus schedules or the train stops like Andrew. So,
I'm glad that you reached out, and I hope he will take you up on the offer.
yes, thank you. We all hope so. And also the other piece of housekeeping is we have a new member of our committee. Laura Sachs is our first public member.
Thrilled to be here. Thank you for agreeing to let me join this committee.
Maybe you could say a little bit about yourself. I know you
Laura Sachs.
presented to our committee.
Okay,
a
yeah,
couple of times.
Laura Sachs. I've been to attended many of the transportation committee meetings, sometimes presenting ideas, sometimes just to listen to the conversations that have happened. I live on West 72nd Street since 2018. Before that, I lived in Forest Hills. I'm an architect. I have a background, master's in urban design. And I work for the School Construction Authority as project manager, doing capacity and capital improvement managing those projects. And I am just really thrilled to be part of this committee, because this is like the lifeblood of the city, is our streets, and it's wonderful to be part of this effort.
We're thrilled to have you. So I think that's it for the housekeeping. So are we all set up?
Oh, we're getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
With our first agenda item has to do with water main construction on Central Park West between 81st and 85th, I think. And we have representatives of the DDC, the Design and Construction part of the city government. We're just waiting for the president. There we go.
Okay, okay.
Great. So you wanna, maybe you could sit there,
Okay.
just as long as this microphone can hear you. If you sit there, that should be good enough.
Lucian, are we ready? Lucian, are we ready? Can you hear me? Hello?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear
All
me?
right. Yes.
Okay, great. So let me just do a quick introduction. Hello, my name is Maria Centeno.
Oh,
I'm the Director of Community Outreach and Notification here at the DDC at the Communications Policy Division. Thank you very much, all of you, for allowing us this opportunity to present this project. We have a water main project in your community, and we have the complement of team members here from DDC, Department of Design and Construction, as well as some counterparts from our other agencies, partner agencies that are part of this project. So Lucian, who's the Community Construction Liaison, will present the project, and we'll have time for some questions and answers at the end. Thank you.
it's Maria
Lucian, it's on
Centeno.
yours. Thank you.
Oh,
Are we ready?
We're having a little trouble hearing you. I don't think it's your fault. We're having audience here.
What's her name? Maria?
Centennial.
She's on, so she should be able to speak.
Hello?
Okay.
So you can hear me, yes?
Yeah, can you start over?
Okay. Lucian, are you able to? So you can't hear me. Okay. So, yeah, so I don't know if everyone heard my introduction earlier. My name is Maria Centeno. I'm from the Department of Design and Construction. And we are here with a lot of team members here from the design and construction. And we do have a presenter, our community construction liaison, who you will get to know very well. And in addition to our counterparts and other city agencies, agency partners involved in this project. Lucian, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think I hear you echoing. So I'm not sure why that is, but you're on.
Oh, yeah, if you can just mute yourself on the Zoom.
On the
as well.
Zoom.
It's muted.
Sorry. Where's the Zoom?
Just let us know when you're ready for us. Thank you.
Yeah, hang on, we're
Okay.
just trying to mute.
Okay,
Okay.
that should work.
All right, Lucian, you're on.
Sorry. What happened to the screen? Oh, all right. Okay, all right. So good evening again. Name is Lucian Allen, Community Construction Liaison for Project MED 682, which is the replacement of a water main in Central Park West between West 81st and West 85th. So in the time, just going to be going through these slides fairly quickly and be able to look at them in more detail when we share them after the presentation. So again, just be going over this agenda. We'll have time at the end for Q&A. So this is just preliminary project data. So NTP will start, notice to proceed started January 5th. And so the biggest thing is that this project, its completion is anticipated for summer of 2028. And so we have some different work hours, specific location. And so again, we'll go over that a little bit later. So the basis of the project, why we're doing this is that there are approximately 2,700 linear feet of aging 12-inch cast iron water mains within the project site. And which have been identified as needing to be replaced. So they will be replaced with new ductile iron pipe, and which will extend the life of the streets and the pipes itself, and protect the streets, property, and utilities around the pipes, as well as the team. And some other issues is that there are some possible lead service lines coming from the water mains, so those are going to be addressed. Community benefits for this work: the improved water pressure, the water flow, reliability, and fire protection in the area. Against addressing the lead service lines, and where those areas are going to be once they're finalized and know where those areas are going to take both service lines are focused on. We'll be take care of that, and then again, any work that is being done that's going to disturb the curb, sidewalk, or the roadways will be restored after this work is finished. So this is, again, the area of where we're focusing. So it's Central Park West from West 81st to West 85th, and also West 83rd and West 84th from Columbus to Central Park West. So this is some of the outreach that I've done so far. So I've done the outreach on Central Park West from West 81st to West 85th, 83rd, West 83rd, and 84th, from Columbus to Central Park West, Columbus Avenue from West 81st to West 85th, and reached out to speaking with, of course, Unit 7, Councilmember Brewer, the Columbus Avenue Business Improvement District, and NYP, the 20th Precinct, FDNY, and just other businesses and residents within that area. And so the outreach will also be ongoing, but these are just some of the areas that we've touched so far. Sharing the project information card, the starter project update, and just talking with residents to let them know about the work and what's to be expected. And so this is the preliminary overview of what it's going to take place for this work. So beginning, there's some permit surveys. There was establishment of we call the maintenance and protection of traffic, MPT. So the YODOCs and gates, things of that nature. So we've seen the tree guards around West 84th and West 83rd. So this is the preliminary work that was taking place. Test pits, which are small excavated areas within the roadway to identify soil conditions and also to see where current utilities are. So that's the purpose of doing those test pits. And like I said, the tree guards. So this is the preliminary work that is taking place in preparation, so the contractor knows exactly how to go about doing the work. And so the actual operations for this work, again, will result in saw cutting to cut the roadway, to be able to excavate the trench setup, to excavate the pipes, and to maintain the earth and soil around where the pipes lay. And you see some of the work that's going to take place, changing the water mains, installing fire hydrants, and then addressing lead lines. And again, the restoration of the curbs and sidewalks and the roadway once the work is completed. These are some of the hours that are part of the stipulations for these blocks. So again, Central Park West from 81st, 85th, and West 83rd and West 84th. Just won't read through all of them, but one of the things that we mainly won't have to abide by is that no work will be taking place during school time. These are some of the other hours during the areas we're talking about. And then, of course, the parking, I know this will be addressed, and there'll be flaggers on site to address and to direct traffic while the work is being done. Pedestrian and traffic, vehicular access will always be in play. They'll have access to drive through streets at that time, but there'll be some of the roadway, of course, will be occupied because of the work that's necessary. This is one of the DEP programs that is something that will be happening in conjunction with this work. So it's a lead service line replacement. So there are some properties that have possibly been identified as having lead service lines coming from the main going into the house, into their properties. So what will be happening is that I'll be, once those areas are confirmed, I'll be outreaching those, the residents or the business, building owners, managing companies to be able to get the lead service lines replaced by the contractor free of charge. And so there'll just be paperwork that they have to sign to authorize this work being done, but it'll be done at no cost to them. And again, it's just some more information regarding that. This is the form that will be something that they will be given to them, that they'll have to sign. An image showing the water main, sewer main, and then the service line, sewer lines, and just how that's set up within the properties. So the impacts and mitigations, so trying to keep the work as up, of course, we understand it's going to be impactful, but we're trying to keep it as minimal as possible. So we'll be working under DEP noise regulations. Contractor will always be working to try to keep the site clean and safe. And again, pedestrians and traffic will be accessible at all times. And then, the garbage, trash pickup and contractors and workers will be mindful and respectful of the living areas around the work that they're doing. So the biggest issue is that since this is a water main project, of course, there will be water shutdowns. So the process for this is that there will be two notifications initially. The first notification by me be 72 hours, first 72 hours in advance, 3 hours prior. The contractor will send out the second notification 24 hours prior. And then there is a water restoration notice that will be sent out once the water is turned back on. And contractors will be going door to door to make sure that the water is turned back on. And so I've been sending out electronically building, business and school surveys to identify what specific issues are for residents or businesses. So we're taking that information into account as well to try to make sure that any necessary needs for any resident system is taken into consideration. So there will be a project storing. So there are steps that allow the contractor to be able to store materials so that this is all under DOT regulation and approval. There will also be road control for whatever work that site would be. And any work that might impact or affect any of the bus lines, I'll be getting in contact with MTA to figure out what the workaround or the resolution will be to make sure that residents still have access to bus service. Okay, and community outreach. So again, this is information that has been shared so far. The project information card, it's an example of the community advisory. This is an example of the weekly construction bulletin. That is sent out every Friday to inform people of what work will be taking place the following week. And this is we have quarterly project updates. So this is the starter project update that I sent out, which again shows the area for where the work is going to be, and also just some examples of what test pits and water mains were. So this is all information that can be shared upon request. So if anybody needs a copy of that, I'm more than willing to send those. Again, I'm the first point of contact for this work. So any questions or concerns will be relayed to me, and then I'll do my best to try to get any answers, for questions or any concerns as quickly as possible. But again, most important is that, again, the 72-hour and the 24-hour notices for any water shutoffs will be sent, and then the restoration notice once the water is turned back on. And then also I'll be attending the monthly DSC meetings and just other meetings as needed. And so this is my information. My email address, phone number, our field office is at 201 West 84th. Hours is 7 to 3:30, but there are have access through phone and email. And so so that is definitely, I'm around to answer any questions, as needed. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you.
What is the start date for the work?
Sorry, excuse me.
What's the start date for the work?
I think it was April.
The contractor is planning to start first week of April.
1st of April? And
So
until when, do you think?
Well, it's going toward summer of 2028. Yeah, so it's, it's a lot of space, from 81st to 85th on Central Park West and then 83rd and 84th. So it's a lot of bike to take care of.
So. can
Any
you- can-
questions from the public?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Felix.
Thanks so much for the presentation. What will the restoration work look like for the pavement sidewalk? Will that be like patchwork, or will those blocks be fully repaved after the construction?
So for the water main trench, we are going to do trench restoration. It's going to be a long line along the trench. And around the hydrant, fire hydrant, because we are going to replace the fire hydrant, we are going to set up a new hydrant path, like sidewalk, if any sidewalks were affected. We are going to reinstall those. Any curb disturbed, we are going to, based on our contract, we are going to pour a new curb.
Any other community members? All right,
question.
go ahead.
Yeah, just one thing, the Wi-Fi, did anyone need it from the public? It's Upper West Side, capital U W S, and instead of the E, it's a number 3, so Upper West. That's the thing, just
Thank
for
you,
everyone.
that's
so
very
we all-
helpful. I should write that down. We should have
I
that
think
on a
it's going to
sticky
be,
note
yeah, I
here.
think that's
Yeah.
going to be, Upper West Side, but a 3 for the E, the first E.
Clever.
Okay, thank
The
you.
second E, I guess, sorry.
Are there
Um,
anybody online?
Well, I had a question. actually.
Well, I thought maybe we'd go to the public.
Oh, public
online
on,
first.
sure.
Yeah,
We want to take down this screen share screen.
yeah, maybe,
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
good idea. Anyone online have a question?
If you do, you can raise your hand and then we'll see you in participants. Also, Community Board 7, we lost your video if you want to click the video button on the iPad. Perfect. Yeah, any members of the public, please raise your hand.
That's our board chair, Alex Bell, speaking from behind the curtain.
I don't see anyone raising their hand, so I assume
I
no
have
question.
3 and I'm promoting them to panelist.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if it's working.
Have a name?
Yeah, okay. They were just promoted. So if you have your question, please go ahead and ask, because I can't see whoever that was now.
Yeah, I have a question. What is going to happen with car parking in the area? And the second question is, across from each house, approximately how many days will this work go based on your current estimate?
So just the general information, the contractor is planning to start with gas relocation at 83rd and Columbus Avenue. And once they reach the mid block on 83rd, the water main installation will begin. And as the contractor, and afterwards, the water main, the gas relocation proceed towards Central Park West, and water main installation follows behind it. So as the contractor moves towards Central Park West, the parking space are going to be occupied by the contractor.
Thanks. Michael Tegnow.
And sorry, the other question is approximately how many days across from each house is the estimate for the work?
Well, it all depends to the contractor, and when we excavate, there are a lot of utilities under the ground. And it's not only DDC and contractor, there are a lot of utilities involved, your Con Ed, your gas, your telephone cables, and it needs their cooperation with us. We have coordinated with them very closely, but it's a teamwork. Yeah, we do our best to at least limit our water shutdowns. But it's not only the water. It's like I told you, it's gas pipe, steam, cables.
Okay,
Right. Can you hear me?
go ahead, Michael. Yeah, we hear you. Thank
It's
you.
it's sort of a similar question. Have you established a phasing plan per street so we know how this is going to progress down the street with some kind of schedule to it?
So, we have a schedule, but, like I told you, it depends on now, for example, we are waiting for Con Ed layout. And, until they provide it to us, we can process with any construction work. So, we have a general idea that, what contractor is planning to do, start, first week of April at 83rd. And, depends on the school summer break, they might go to 84th while the school is in recess. And then, after they got their permit from MTA, they will go to Central Park West.
So is that something that you could share?
It's
So-
going to be something like, preliminary, Maria. Can you?
Yeah, so I think probably they're want to know more. They're more from. I don't know if Lucian got into the specifics of what type of outreach materials we share to keep the community informed, but we do have various tools in the toolbox. One of them is the actual 24 and the 72-hour advisories. So whenever we're working in new areas, working in particular types of work operations, those are disseminated hard copy as well as digitally to the impacted area and also broader stakeholders. And we also have a weekly bulletin that's issued normally Friday afternoons, the latest, Monday, and that gives you the look ahead of work that is expected the week before. And we also have a quarterly project update. And that gives you what work has been completed and what work is anticipated for the next quarter. So we do give you some anticipated work that we're aware of. I mean, obviously, this is construction, it's subject to change. But, again, Lucian is there to provide a lot of this information and handle a lot of the day-to-day communication. So you will see a lot of the outreach materials posted in the community. And obviously, he will have his contact information. So if there are any questions or any concerns, obviously, he is the person that you would reach out to for those inquiries or,
So you'll just post that information on the street? Is that the idea?
We do it digitally as well as hard copy, yes.
To all the residents? I mean, how do we?
So we deal a lot with management companies, right? Superintendents of residential buildings, management companies of residential buildings, office buildings. So we then trickle down that information. I mean, we have to be respectful to all of the different entities, protocols. Sometimes there are limitations where they do not want us to actually physically post anything. They would prefer to do it. So we do work with and coordinate how we disseminate the information and again, try to be respectful of all of the different stakeholders within the community.
All right. So in general, we'll get it from our management, from our building.
Correct.
Thank you, Michael.
Is there any way, so basically there's going to be no parking between construction hours every day for 2 years. Am I getting that right?
It's not like that. If the contractor start working on 83rd, most probably they will finish the job and then they open up space and they go to 84th. So, this is,
I know, but this is 2 years. I mean, it's not.
It doesn't mean that if your house is on 83rd, it doesn't mean that for 2 years we will be on your block.
No, that's why I was asking about the schedule, because I'd just like to anticipate one street or another, because you're not going to do everything at the same time. So, I'm just looking at, what street you're going to close down, how much of it, for how long, that kind of thing. So that you can anticipate what's going to happen.
Right, Dushan?
So you're absolutely correct in that statement. We are not going to do, we're not going to be everywhere for the entire 2 years. The work is phased out. I'm not sure if we finalize the contractor's schedule. That's part of the submittal process, and approval process. So I'm not sure what the particulars are, but when we know exactly where those locations are, where there will be impacts, that will definitely be communicated to the community.
So it's probably safe to assume that once you start construction on either 83rd or 84th, then you're not going to park on that street during construction hours. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, I assume, there will be no parking sign even after, working hours while we are working on your block.
So in
The
other words,
contract-
we don't anticipate the contractor backfilling and putting plates and returning parts of the street when we're working, or is that a possibility? But as far as the parking lanes are concerned, that is unlikely. Is that more or less accurate?
On Central Park West, they are planning to open up the parking space and traffic lanes after working hours. So they will put a plate.
Does that include the bike lane?
Yeah, if we need to, we have to coordinate with MTA to relocate the bike lane.
DOT.
The
DOT, yeah. Okay, so we are backfilling and putting plates and returning some of the workspace in
Yeah.
some areas, depending on.
I mean, when somebody just recently put in a gas line on 84th Street. And that's what they did. Every day there was excavation, they backfilled and put a plate on so that the street, you can at least park on the street in the evening, and then you had to, move in the morning. So that sounds like it's probably going to be the same kind of activity.
For the traffic lane and parking, we follow OCMC stipulations, and based on that, on 83rd and 84th, the contractor will maintain 11 feet traffic during working hours and 13 feet after working hours.
And what was the last thing? 13, you said what?
11 feet will be maintained.
As a through lane, traffic lane?
Yes,
During construction?
during construction, yes. And the sidewalk, any driveways, if any, they will be accessible even during construction.
So if I'm understanding correctly, the 13 feet does not include parking spaces. So the parking spaces would be gone for the duration of whatever the work is on 83rd Street.
Yes.
And do you have any ballpark as to how long it might take 83rd Street to get completed?
Not really, because it's not only water main, it's gas, it's
Mhm.
steam, con it.
But it for sure would not be until 2028.
Yes.
It would be
Yes.
before then.
Definitely.
Okay. All right, we have
Well,
a few
it
other.
could easily be half of it though.
We can't have, point of order, we cannot have a single person from the public having a dialogue when.
Yeah,
people
well,
speak.
he was asking good questions.
Yeah.
So stipulated.
Okay.
We have other people
Yeah,
online who are gonna ask questions. Hopefully they'll get answered.
Sydney, you were next, but I also see Nicole Painter from the Columbus Avenue Bid. Nicole, sorry if you wish.
Hi, sorry. Thank you so much. I'm just flagging, and I hope this is not a really reiterating what everyone knows, but anyone that wants to be on the email list from Lucian, I think they can email you to sign up. Is that correct? To get
Yes.
all your updates. So yeah, it's like really detailed information. So in case
Awesome.
anyone didn't hear that, just flagging that for everyone.
I can also, we'll be sharing the presentation, and like I said, it has my contact information on the last slide. And so any questions and concerns can be sent, you know, to my email address, and then we can try and get as much information for you as possible.
Why don't you give your email again?
Okay,
Just verbally,
Yeah.
It's
It's on our
central,
website too.
but just verbally.
so it's Central Park West 81STCCL@gmail.com. Okay, and I'll say it again, Central Park West 81STCCL@gmail.com.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nicole. Okay, Sydney.
Thanks. Sorry if this was already said, but when the water is shut off, roughly how long will it be shut off for?
Well, like I said, the contractor is planning to start with gas relocation. And once they reach the mid-block, they will start water shutdown, water installation, which the water shutdown will take place.
So normally also, don't we do test shutdowns? Are we doing test shutdowns as part of this project?
Yes, a test shutdown, but it's going to take place overnight. And
Okay.
we will definitely notify people.
Okay, so we're doing only test shutdowns at night, or we're doing all of the water main shutdowns at night?
Only test shutdown as of now.
Okay. So test shutdowns are only a couple of hours, maybe a few hours, thereabouts.
And it's not to be more than 2-3 nights maximum.
No more than 2 or 3 nights, okay. And normally when we do a regular test shutdown, it's during regular work hours during the day?
Test shutdowns are overnight. Regular shutdowns are over working hours.
Okay. So our typical working hours is 7:30 to 3:30. We have allowable work permits up from 7 to 6 p.m. We try to finish any shutdowns by no later than 4 o'clock, the latest. If we can do it earlier, we do it earlier. And Lucian will send out notifications saying that the water has resumed. But that's normally our process.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Sydney. The next person is Beth.
Yes, hi. Can you, I have a question about parking. So I live on 84th Street, and already over the past few weeks, I've noticed signs occasionally saying no parking Monday to Friday with various hours listed, but it's just one sign in the middle of the block, and nobody is really going to see that, especially because sometimes people park their car. If they don't have alternate side, they may leave it for 4 or 5 days. So I guess my question is there going to be more signage when that actually really happens, that we need to stop parking on our street? And also, if a car is inadvertently left there, what will happen to it?
So the signage that I put up, it wasn't just in the middle of the block. There were 2 on the corners of Columbus and 83rd, 2 on the corner of Columbus and 84th, 1 in the middle of both sides of the street, and then 1 on each corner of Central Park West and 83rd and 84th. And so, and then all along Central Park West from 81st from 82nd to 85th, because that was the area of where the test pits were being done. So that's where those no parking signs were placed when I put them out for that work. But any additional, when there are community advisories that need to go out, again, it'll be up and down. It'll be at least 6 signs per street, because I did the corners in the middle of the blocks, for as much visibility as possible. But now, since the tree guards are up, I have more spaces that I can put up additional signs. So there will be additional space for me to put up more signs.
Also, I think that does the contractor sometimes, they use those barrels, right? They use the construction
Yes.
barrels. So we also
So-
sometimes utilize the construction barrels as well and put them into place. So that also helps, right?
Yeah, so it was a community advisories that I posted, but the no parking, the tow away signs were attached to the barrels when they put them up to do the test pits.
We'll make sure to have enough no parking signs when the construction starts.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
last person in the public is Mr. Loxley.
Yeah, hi. I'm on 83rd Street, and I noticed in the diagram it seemed that there were two lines running into each house. It looked like there was a water line. Was the other one an electric line, or was that a sewage line?
That was sewer. That was coming out of the house to the sewer line.
Right. So when you shut the water down, does that mean just the water coming in, or does it mean the sewage too?
Only your water will be affected.
But I mean, it's fresh water that fills the tank to flush the toilet, so, yeah, I mean, but there, from my understanding, there are gonna be, there will be instructions for how to prepare for the water shutdown. So, yeah, having bottles or some things to fill some water to be able to flush the toilet, if necessary, well, sorry, when necessary. So yeah, it would just be water that would need to be filled prior to the shutdown, so you can use it for drinking or flushing toilet, things of that nature.
So when the water's shut off, you can still flush the toilet.
If you,
Correct.
yeah, if you pour
Correct.
water down, yeah, down the bowl, it'll flush.
Unless you have.
It will. I see. And with the electric, will the electric be shut off sometimes too?
The electricity.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, we try to avoid that. I don't know. It's with.
Yeah, this is Dushyant Rajput. Generally, we don't shut down the electricity unless the Con Edison crew has something feeder or some outage in the block, then the Con Edison will notify accordingly. But during the construction, our contractor never shut down the electric work.
Yeah. And if they have to replace a lead pipe coming in to the house I'm living in, will this be shut off for longer than, say, just the 3 hours?
I don't think if we need more hours to work on lead replacement. Your house should be on the list and DEP list, and they will reach out to you. And the contractor needs an appointment to come and investigate your connection, water service.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And when you shut the water off during the work hours, not the testing, but the real shut off, will that sort of be like for 3? I thought I read somewhere 3 hours.
So test shutdowns are normally about 2 or 3 hours. When we do an actual shutdown for the workday, it can take 5 or more hours. We try to finish within, before 4 p.m.
And
That's
what
the
time
goal.
would it start? When you start, like at 8 a.m. or?
Well, we have to coordinate any shutdown with DEP. So they actually have to be the ones, they have a crew that physically shuts the valves down from the street. Our contractor is not allowed to do that. So they send a crew from DEP, and they physically shut it down. Sometimes they arrive on time, about 8 or so. Sometimes they're late. So we really don't know exactly, we don't have any control over exactly when they show up. But most of the times, yes, they show up in the morning, ideally.
So when you're working right there, the water could be shut down from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Correct.
I see. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Worst case
long as-
scenario.
Yeah.
Again, we try to return the water as once we're finished. If we're finished at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, then your water will return at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So as soon as we're done with the work, we return. We resume. How should I say? The water resumption is as immediately as the work is completed.
Right. Well, that's good. As long as we know ahead of time to plan for such a long shutdown.
Thank you.
Okay. That's all I have. Mhm.
Okay.
We have one last person from the public, Josh
Yes, thank you. As a tenant, today was the first day that I received notice of this, presumably from my building manager or owner. Do you know when a formal notice was given to owners or building managers for the first time with respect to this project?
No, I sent out this notice was sent out last week. I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday. It was in the earlier part of last week. So, I mean, I'm still working on getting all of the email addresses for the business owners or superintendents, management companies, things of that nature. Some emails have bounced back, so I'm still working through that as well. But the emails did go out, the outreach did go out to all the areas to get as many contacts as possible. And notification did go out a week prior to this meeting.
And so was that notification of this meeting or notification of the fact that the project would be occurring?
Both.
Both. So that was the first time any kind of notice was given. Got it.
No, I'm saying the notification of the start of this work that went out at least 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. But for this meeting tonight, this went out last week.
Got it. So again, just to clarify, so it was about 2 to 3 weeks ago was the first time notice went out to anybody, whether they were owner, resident, superintendent, business owner, tenant, whatever. It was about 2 to 3 weeks ago was the first notice that was given. Is that correct?
The actual date, I don't remember offhand, so I can't give you an actual
That's
date.
okay.
But
2 to 3 weeks though sounds right.
yeah, but there was notification that was sent out, like I said, and there was outreach that was done prior to the notifications going out. So
Do you have any idea when that occurred? In other words, what I'm looking for is when is the first time that somebody either knew or should have known of the existence of the project?
So if I may. So during the design phase, we do present to the community board about upcoming projects, the status of these projects, and we give a timeline as to when we anticipate construction to begin, right? The procurement process, there's the design process, there's many different phases of a project. So we are now in what we consider the pre-construction phase of the project. So there's a lot of preliminary work, as Lucian had mentioned earlier in his presentation, that takes place. The contractor has to order materials, they have to do submittals, they have to obtain their permits. So there's a lot of coordination, a lot of, we have to actually coordinate with many different other agencies as well to let them know that the project is coming. We have utility coordination meetings, a lot of different alignment meetings. So there's a lot of different meetings with many different entities throughout the course of the project. So we're in the pre-construction phase. So outreach, it has begun, I would say within the last 3 weeks or more. Lucian has been going door to door, obtaining information, contacts, building his network notification, his neighborhood network notification list, which is basically our directory and what we build upon, right? And that's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
So the community boards are one of the first, government, localized government that we reach out to present the project. We will also present to the bid. We also present to any co-op boards or any other entities who may be interested in knowing about the project. So a lot of our work is just beginning. And we try to do this definitely in advance of any actual work before the contractor starts the project. Ideally, before you start seeing a storage of materials on the street or signage, we are out there prior to any of this taking place. So we try to be as proactive
I have absolutely
as possible.
no doubt that you've been working diligently for a long time. And my question is really not related to you all at all. It's more about, has my landlord, superintendent, building management known about this for some time without telling me? That's the essence.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
So the only
That's
way
not a
you
question
know
I'll be
about that
connected.
is when they were first notified.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's a fair
just-
question.
Just for your information, there was an article in the West Side Rag about this. I think it was about a month ago at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
So
month at least.
so it pays to read the West Side Rag. I don't know whether your landlord reads it, but anyway, I don't think we're gonna get any more specific an answer to your question, so.
I put your email in our agenda, so if you need the email, you can get tonight's agenda and reach out if you have any more questions. Okay, so I think we'll go to the committee now, right?
I
Is
just
there
wanted
anybody
to
in the
add
room?
Yeah,
something.
go ahead.
The water main on, the scope of work is very old. Like on Central Park West, it's around 140 years.
That was my
84 is 100 years. And, on 83rd is around 80 years old. So it might break any day soon. Without notification, unexpected shutdown. Now the city is replacing the water main, renew the whole, pipe. And with lots of notifications prior to construction, a week before, a month before, actually, I tried to do it a month before, a week, 72 hours, 24 hours. Lucian is a 24/7 full-time on this job. We are always reachable if anybody has any questions, any special needs, and the way we can help, we try to work together with less effect to the community. The safety of the public is our highest priority, and we have inspectors, safety inspectors, flaggers, to control the traffic, to guide the pedestrians. These are all our priority. Any questions, any concern, you are more than welcome to reach to us.
Just want to make sure there's nobody in the room other than committee members who has a question.
Great,
Okay, so
Elizabeth.
Yeah, just a quick question, I guess, and maybe for Colleen, who I think is with us. I guess, have you guys been in contact? I haven't been up to the 81st Street, like the crosstown area where the construction was going on. The sidewalk construction by the museum,
right,
by the bus stop. I'm just wondering, I know this is north of there, but it's still on Central Park West, and I wonder what the coordination has been between DOT and this project, if any. Like, how is that working? Because I think there's some ongoing, it just seems like a bit of a mess there right now. And if this is starting in 3 weeks, I think there probably needs to be some coordination between the two entities if there hasn't
Yeah,
been. already.
where exactly?
It's on this, it's the elevator, the south area by the corner of the museum.
So the
Yeah.
intersection.
It's the
Okay, yeah.
MTA, it's Colleen from DOT. It's the MTA, they're installing an ADA elevator in that area. So I am sure, I don't know if this is going to impact the work that DDC is proposing, but if it does, we will more than happy to put the MTA and DDC the project team in communication so that they all know, each other's timeline and schedule. Usually we do that when there's a project within the vicinity of another project.
And the Central Park West side is 83rd Street is going first, not Central Park West.
83rd and Columbus towards Central Park.
Towards Central Park, so Central Park West will be at the end. Okay, so that's good. And then,
Yeah.
Okay, that was my question.
Oh, sorry, Nicole, Painter. from
Sorry,
Vivid.
not to jump in again, but Colleen, if it's okay with you, I can connect the MTA contact with Lucian right, like tonight, because I'm on both of their lists for updates, so.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, I'll do that right now.
Yeah,
Thanks, Nicole.
go for it.
No problem.
Doug,
Sure. So, look, thank you. This is obviously a very important and necessary project with all the water main breaks that we see all the time, and we've had some in this neighborhood. Obviously, this needs to get done. This seems to be a pretty comprehensive and protracted project, and I'm even having a hard time following along with the timeline. So my request, if it's okay with everyone else in the consensus, is that you come back here semi-regularly
Sorry, ain't no stopping us now.
It's stopped
That's
doing
great. Great intro. Good music. Anyway, like, for example, the projects that we had with the Gilder Center where we're phasing in and so and I'm asking you to be here every month or anything like that, but I think that it's really, it's going to be important to keep people informed, especially since it's a ever-changing and updating project, which you don't exactly know the timing of the contractor. So I also think that we can help you in getting the word out by putting things on our website. Maybe also you're gonna have things on the Link NYC. I just think it's gonna be a hard schedule for the whole neighborhood to follow along. So I just hope that we can sort of regularly do that and repeat information and update it, because I think it's, it's just gonna be necessary. The couple of questions I had,
Hi.
yeah, so, you mentioned that there's a gas line that's being replaced, right? Gas lines that are being replaced. Gas, and I'm not an expert, but I'm familiar with some of this, that gas lines are much more complicated to turn back on once they've been turned off. Very similar, it's very different than water. So, I know, for example, that if you turn a gas line off in a building, you very often need to do a pressure test all over again and get blue cards. So I just wonder, what kind of planning is going to happen, because it seems like you turn the gas off and people have pilot lights and you're going to do pressure testing. People could be without gas for a very long time, especially if there happens to be a pressure problem after the turn off and then turning it back on. And I have a couple of, so you can just, that's one other question. The only other thing is are there going to be any changes to rerouting of the buses along Central Park West, also the crosstown on 81st? And my last point is, I know you were talking about preparing for water shutdown, where they say fill up your bathtub or sinks, but if you have a flushometer type toilet, that your toilet doesn't work, there's nowhere to fill up. I mean, a lot of people have the tanks, but if it's flushometer, you've got no, way to flush. And I'll pause there. Thanks.
So, regarding the gas, when the contractors start digging the trench, we have the utilities from Con Ed, ECS, Charter, they're there. It's not only the contractor, and they have their own, at some point, they need their own specialties team to do the job done. So, they are going to take care of their own properties, the gas, cable, connection. So this is, I guess, did I answer your question?
Well, I mean, it seems to me that there's a possibility that there may be some residents that don't have gas for a very long time. I hope that's not the case, but sometimes it's inevitable, and it may not be the fault of any contractor, just be the existing gas lines. Once gas service is turned on, if it's turned back on, if there's any pressure leak, sometimes you have to redo the entire building, and someone can be without gas for 6 months or a year. I'm not trying to anticipate that as a problem. I hope it never happens. But now that I hear you're replacing gas and turning back on, I just think this is, a very comprehensive project that we all have to be thinking about, and it's important, but those are going to be questions I think are going to come up.
May I add something, Sana? So this is Dushyant Rajput. For the gas main work is generally done by Con Ed Specialty Crew. And also most of the time they do the bypass system. So they generally, they don't keep the gas shut down for like a long duration. So I don't think there will be any issue related to gas. But we will also coordinate during the work that the services remain intact or it remains live in service.
That's good, Rish.
Yes, thank
you. Okay, did you get your other question?
Yeah, just the idea of having regular,
Yeah, sure.
Because I think it's going to be necessary to come back here on a semi-regular basis, and we'll help you get the word out too. Yeah.
There,
Not a
at the
problem.
moment, hasn't been any plans to reroute any of the bus lines.
Right.
If that comes up where that has become a problem or it's anticipated to be a problem, then I'll be in contact with MTA to try and figure out what the best course of action would be for that. Thanks.
And ditto for the bike lane and DOT.
Is there a bike lane on the
Central
west
Park
side?
West.
It's on the east side.
It's on the east side.
It's on, the east side. So if
Yeah.
it's
Oh.
on Central Park.
It's on the
West,
bike lane, it's on Bismarck Park.
if it's on the east side, it's not going to be affected.
Okay.
Okay.
Great, okay. Carrie? You, nothing? Okay, Laura?
It's all been covered.
Okay. Eric?
I'm good.
You're good, okay.
I have a question.
You have a question, yes.
Rats.
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 Yeah.
So you mentioned it briefly in the presentation,
Yes,
but it comes up so often for us. And I wonder what your thoughts are about rat mitigation. Do you anticipate disturbance of the rodent population, and what your thoughts are about rat mitigation?
I need to speak with the contractor to know exactly what the mitigation plan is gonna be, but there will be paving for wherever the storage site is going to be. So that's part of their mitigation plan. But as far as the digging, if it's
So,
gonna be disturbed, then
the plan is, the contractor will hire a sub to do the survey for rodent, and then afterwards, on a monthly basis, a different crew comes and take care of the, like, those rodent and pest control.
So let me add into the rodent work. The contractor is a subcontractor. Those are the rodent, the specialist. They do survey the area, and based on that, they put they do the baiting stations for the mice, for the rodent. And every 2 weeks, they monitor and they change their means and method as required. So that will be always monitoring the rodent activities during the construction time.
The life of the project.
Okay, but it sounds as though there'll also be some preventative survey made in anticipation of what may happen before the project begins.
The
Yeah, it's a
survey.
proactive approach, yes, it's a proactive approach.
Yeah.
It's a proactive approach, yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for the thorough interest in the topic. This is great.
I have a question.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
It continues.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, this can't be the only water mains that are 100 years old.
Mhm.
Do you expect to be moving up Central Park West or anywhere else, or can we anticipate this and look forward to this in the neighborhood?
Well, as of
elsewhere?
now, I don't know. It's DEP and DDC's decision. They put it onto priority. So as of now, we are going to replace this water main, and then afterwards, I don't know if any new project comes up.
But this is a priority right now,
Yeah,
given that it could fail at any time. Okay.
Great, thank you to DDC for joining.
Yes.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Really good presentation.
Well, please let our board office know of any changes, and we'll be in touch.
Definitely. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, next topic is low traffic neighborhoods. So Tali, if you wanna come up here and join. For background, I think it's great that, if we have some space in the agenda, it's always fun to cover something transportation related. We have a resolution on the table, but we're not necessarily gonna pass it. It was just passed around, so we had something, so we didn't have to scramble up here, but I think it's fun to learn about different things. Hopefully next month, Elizabeth actually brought to us maybe autonomous vehicles. So if you have any other topics that you'd want the committee to talk about, please bring it forward. So great, thank you for coming, and thanks for being here in person.
And just to reiterate, if anybody's here for the e-bike discussion, that will be next month. I'm very sorry if you came for that, but it will be in April. And now we have low traffic neighborhoods.
Thanks for inviting us here. Today, I'm gonna talk about the kind of concept of low traffic neighborhoods, and then Carl will do a little bit on CB7.
Some potential locations, just what to think about when we're thinking about what makes a good location.
Yeah.
Very briefly.
And again, this is, still mostly conceptual, but we're excited to talk about it. So low traffic
Say,
neighborhoods.
say who you are.
Oh, sorry, I'm Talia Schwartz. I work at Open Plans, and I'm a strategist, and kind of part of what I do is think about strategies that we can implement in New York City that will help improve the quality of life, maybe reduce car use and things like that.
And I'm Carl Mahaney. I direct Streetopia Upper West Side. I'm a colleague of Talia's, and I try to take those strategies and make them real in our neighborhood. Get people excited about them and organize it.
Thanks for reminding us to introduce ourselves. Uh, So I like to, before diving into like the nitty gritty of the specific model, I do like to set context. We do know that New Yorkers want a change in their neighborhoods. We have good survey data showing it. In 2023, we did a poll that directly asked a lot of these questions. So people overwhelmingly do want their streets to be designed for pedestrians and safety over cars. So people understand that contrast. We see that traffic in the neighborhood is endangering children kind of overwhelmingly. Again, we can identify that traffic is reducing the quality of life in neighborhoods. This one is about prioritizing, reducing the number of cars on streets. So these are all the majorities for all of this. Doesn't mean that everyone agrees on everything, but it shows that there's a lot of desire for change in the neighborhoods. Neighborhoods should have more trees, more outdoor spaces like parks and rather than parking spaces. And overwhelmingly, people want streets around schools to be safe. So that's just like, people know what they want in their neighborhoods, and I like to anchor us in that. And then we're talking about an approach that delivers all of these outcomes kind of together. It's a silver bullet, which we're very excited about, given very promising data that I'll talk about in a little bit. Okay, so this is a neighborhood approach to reducing traffic. So we're not stopping anything, but we are reducing the amount of driving in a neighborhood. And the reason we landed on this approach is because we have some problems going on in New York City with regards to vehicular traffic. Important to talk about the grid layout just for a quick second. The grid layout was meant to diffuse traffic throughout the city. But the more driving we have means that every single street becomes a crowded arterial, which was not the original design for the grid. But that's where we've landed. And it's not like a feeling that we have, it's factual. For 10 years, New York City's population went down. Now it's going a little bit back up, but this is census data to 2023, population went down. Household vehicle registrations went up. Okay, so we're not, this is actually happening on the streets. There's more cars than there used to be. And also, driving is continuing to increase. So this is the chart. Driving has gone up 17% in New York City since the data has been public in 2004. And it's been going up every year, like for a long time, if you see since 2014, except for the COVID drop. So what else is going on?
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
When you say driving, is that all kinds of driving, including Uber and Lyft and
Yes, that's a
delivery,
good
last
question.
mile delivery and all of that, or is it just
It's
us
all,
driving?
this is all driving, but we do have a report about VMT in the city, and the increase is really attributed to private vehicle use.
Okay. that's
Even
what I was
though increases in truck use might have a disproportionate feeling of crowdedness, they double park, when they make loud noises. So if things are all crowded, we're gonna feel the trucks more too. But the actual increase is really attributed to just private people
But
driving.
this is mileage and not number of vehicles.
Correct. This is mileage, overall driving,
Interesting.
gone up.
Which is what causes traffic.
Yes, this is what's, so it's like, we don't have more space, but we do have more driving.
Right.
But again, it's miles, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's important everyone understands what we're looking at together. And even though the driving has gone up, it's still true that an overwhelming majority of New York City residents do not drive a vehicle daily. So that, we're gonna talk about the CD7, but most New Yorkers are not commuting via car. Neighborhoods are filled with drivers who are driving through and do not have business in the neighborhood necessarily, which makes the streets a little bit less safe than they would be. If you live in a neighborhood, you're more likely to drive through it like you're getting home for the night, not like you're trying to get somewhere else really quickly. So there's an increased feeling of danger when people are rushing through a neighborhood to get from one, just to get through, or came off a highway, and they're looking for kind of a way through. And then, one of the effects of all of this is increased noise and air pollution. VMT is the direct, one of the direct metrics we use to figure out air pollution. Okay, so what if we take a neighborhood approach to change all of these things? By centering the people, creating shared use and slow streets, redirecting through traffic and disrupting the grid. This is really about disrupting the grid. It's being done all over the place. I'm not going to dive into all the examples. We're focused on the example from London because they've been doing this now for 15 years. They have a ton of data and they've already implemented over 100 of these. So we're relying on their data, but it is starting to happen all over the place. So what is a low traffic neighborhood? It's an approach to managing traffic that redirects through traffic away from residential areas to enhance safety in the neighborhood. I'm gonna explain how to do it. We will use, I'll show the design in a second, but the tools to create a low traffic neighborhood are already in our toolkit. NYC DOT already uses all of these modal filters, opposing one-way signage. They all already exist in the toolkit, but they have not been applied to like a neighborhood setting. They've just been done usually on one corridor. We're gonna talk about, this is a very simple example. It uses a grid, but doesn't have to be. Like I said, London has over 100 and they've applied it to all kinds of different neighborhoods. So this is just an example. This is what a minimal treatment looks like. I've been given feedback that the plaza between the school and the park makes it non-minimal, so you could ignore that plaza. It would work without that plaza as well. And then, a higher treatment version would look something like this with shared use streets and taking back space once it becomes more available and there's less cars in the neighborhood. So how do we get there? It's a traffic circulation model, actually. So what we're gonna do is push cars back onto the boundary roads instead of driving from one side of the neighborhood to the next side of to the opposite side of the neighborhood. Everyone can still access their apartments, their homes as needed via car, access ride, any for hire vehicles. Sanitation trucks can still go through, emergency responders can still go through, but cars have to go back out to the boundary roads. Of course, bikes and pedestrians can go in all directions because the streets are very slow, safe, and shared. The model rests on these diagonal diverters or modal filters, depending what you call them. You can see in this picture, it's like bollards. You can put planters there. You can put concrete there. In London, in some places, they use cameras because they want to let buses through, for example. So you can use a lot of different techniques. The only conceit is basically, the cars have to go back to the boundary road. They can't drive through. Let's see, key plazas near key destinations. So in this case, right, we can see that the park has access to, cars have access to the park from one side, the school has, car access the other side. So they don't need that street in the middle, once cars don't have to go all the way through. So you can take back space for the community. And of course, when there's fewer cars on the road, we can share the streets more if we want to. This is optional, but we don't need special bike lanes. We don't need special sidewalks because everyone can kind of use the street together once the cars are going real slow. Okay, so when it's working well, private vehicles are redirected away from the residential streets. Access to homes is maintained. Emergency and delivery vehicles can still access the neighborhood. If done correctly, longer journeys have to use the strategic boundary roads. There's a slight inconvenience to get but in exchange, you're getting kind of a quiet neighborhood. And the streets, become safe for everyone.
And parking is maintained, right?
Parking is maintained. I have a whole slide about
Great,
that
love
coming
it.
up, but we can never say it enough. Yeah. The data here is like kind of crazy, in my opinion. Once these low traffic neighborhoods are implemented, there's almost 50% reduction in traffic volume on those neighborhood streets. Even on the boundary roads, and this is like really hard for people to believe me, even on the boundary roads, there's a slight reduction. That's just because there's less overall driving in the whole area. The data is good. I will add that it's a little bit, there is a perception difference. The low traffic neighborhood becomes extremely quiet and the boundary road mostly stays the same. So the contrast between the two, does become greater. The streets become much safer, 50% less crash-related casualties. There's also a reduction in crime. More people are using the space, enjoying it. Air quality is improved, both within the LTN and on the boundary roads. And then there's a big increase, a 25% increase in active travel in the neighborhood once they're implemented. There's a lot of other data, and if we share this presentation at some point, the end of the slideshow has all the footnotes, endnotes and stuff like that. These are all peer reviewed and great resources. This is the map of London with the low traffic neighborhoods. This one has 70 in this map. They've since released newer maps, but the contrast is terrible in the maps they released. And even this one is really hard to see. But the little purple and blue dots are low traffic neighborhoods. And what's interesting here, you can see that low traffic neighborhoods start sitting next to other low traffic neighborhoods because once one neighborhood has one, the one next to it also wants one, and they kind of spill over like that. So they're taking off everywhere in London, and now they've kind of reduced driving in the city overall. So VMT has gone down in London. London has done other things as well, but this has been a very effective strategy. Okay, about LTNs, they're self-enforcing, so this is not something where you're removing barricades all the time. It's meant to be within the design, either the planters or the bollards are permanent. So they're not a lot of work. I love this picture. This is a super block in Barcelona, which is a similar model. You can see that cars have access to the side streets here, but they can't drive through the neighborhood anymore. So a huge amount of space is returned to the neighborhood, which is really, it's a nice picture. Okay, like I said before, with very low speeds in the neighborhood, we don't necessarily need to build protected bike lanes everywhere. That could be reserved for the boundary roads, while the low traffic neighborhoods can kind of have a more of a mix in terms of different transportation options. And these are very inexpensive to implement. Of course, it would be nice to get the high treatment versions, but we don't have to. And London has a lot of health data, and they've also done calculations just showing the health benefits of these are also very economical for the city, but we don't have that kind of data really. Okay, so this is what LTNs are not. They're not pedestrianization. We're not closing off streets to cars. We're just routing them differently. We're changing the traffic directions. They do not require moving parking at all. I will say that they can be improved by removing parking, and also over time, parking might be less necessary. If people aren't coming from outside the neighborhood, they're taking public transit to get to these low traffic neighborhoods. So there might be a change in the parking over time, but you don't have to remove them. They don't prohibit vehicle access, and they do not reduce emergency response times. In London, they've done a lot of studies because this was a big concern, and sometimes the emergency responders do take a more circuitous route, but because there's so much less driving, they actually get there much faster than they were before. So I think that's encouraging. And then we're going to dive into the New York City, the New York City examples that we have here, but I can take some questions about the model before we do.
Let's start with the public. Anyone from the public have any questions?
Yeah, how many more? This is New York City, then we.
Yeah,
Upper West Side at the
actually-
end.
Actually, yeah,
Can
maybe we should
finish?
finish and
Yeah.
then
Okay,
take
go ahead.
questions. Yeah,
Mhm.
sorry. I think this is you, yeah. Oh, yeah, this is what I was saying before, that New York City already applies all of these elements. We just need to like put them in a specific model. And yeah, there are these great examples. I recommend people check them out.
This afternoon, I was walking on 64th Street between Central Park West and Columbus, was just this incredible play street.
Yeah, yeah, there's examples, but we just need to put it all together.
It's at the school there?
There is the Ethical Culture
Yeah.
School. Is it connected to?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
using the street as a
School
school
street.
street.
That was really festive, and it was not only the kids out there.
That's great.
That's great. Okay, sorry,
Yeah,
Carl.
no, okay, this is great. So yes, it can work in New York City, and including on the Upper West Side. So this is some very basic data. You probably know some of this already. I'm sure I've shared some of this in other presentations to the committee. But if you look on the left side, traffic in the neighborhood, about 73% of traffic in Community Board 7 is cut through traffic. It's not stopping in the neighborhood at all. About 60% of the traffic is coming from outside of 5 boroughs, so outside of New York City. This is based on traffic modeling software from Replica, a model that they built that aggregates data from all sorts of resources, including New York City and New York State traffic data.
Can I just interrupt for
Yeah, of course.
out of state plates, but not necessarily out of state people using the car?
No, it's people driving from out of state.
They live out of state.
Right, but they could be for hire vehicles, right?
Potentially, I suppose, if they
Driving,
drive.
do you have data on the number of?
It's measured on where the trip starts and where the trip ends. So.
And this is, they're
Not the
building
license plate, you just said it was like out.
No,
It's not based on license plate, it's based on a model that this company Replica, that's used by transportation departments all over the country, municipal transportation departments. But it creates a model that aggregates a bunch of data, and then based on that model, we'll say this number of people are coming
So
from
rideshare
these
trips
areas.
with out of state plates that are servicing people.
It's not plates, it's just a data point
Data
that
point.
that 60% of the traffic going through CB7 is coming from, is not even in from the 5 boroughs.
Okay. Keep going.
It's just a data point, yeah.
Well,
which
it's
is kind
more
of-
than that, but go ahead.
Do you want
Keep
to dig in a little bit more, or?
No, I'm letting you keep going. I
Okay.
don't want to interrupt.
The last point of the traffic is 70% of the VMT, the traffic in the neighborhood is from people that make over the New York City median income, which is I think 85,000, 84,000 roughly the last time. The most recent numbers that I have. The middle one, vehicle mode. So of that traffic, 64% is private auto, 32% is taxi for hire vehicle, and only 4% is freight. That's again in CB7. So it speaks a bit to what Talia was saying, that freight seems like a really big number, but it's really quite small. I think in other CBs, you've looked at this and it ranges from 4 to 6%, but it's never, over 10 or something like that. And then vehicle use on the end, we know this, but 73% of households on the Upper West Side do not have a car or access to a car, and only about 7%, I think it's 6.8, 6.9% of people actually commute by car. So just to kind of set the playing field. Now, there's many considerations in choosing what would be a promising low traffic neighborhood. And I'm not an engineer, neither are you. But we're going to look at a couple of examples just based on some ideas of what might be an interesting way to think about it. So this is the first one. This is sort of a mostly residential area that already has pretty low traffic. So this is West End and Riverside from 106 to 96. So West End, start there. It's quite a wide street. And just to orient you to this map. So this is again from Replica. This is annual average daily trips. So this is vehicle trips on an average day. This is probably drawn straight from the state DOT numbers, and probably mixed with some other stuff that's quite accurate. The brighter the colors, the more traffic. The darker the colors, the less traffic. So you can see, you can see West End here already has quite low traffic compared to Amsterdam and Columbus and 96. You see it picks up a little bit as you get, the resolution isn't great, but it picks up a little bit as you get down toward 96th Street. That's because traffic is actually finding its way to West End and coming down here to turn and get on the Henry Hudson. There's a little bit of a reverse effect too, where traffic up here is kind of high and then it kind of sort of pulls off a little bit, but obviously you can't go northbound all the way through. So anything from 96 to 106 is, should theoretically be local traffic anyway. So this is already a street that is probably over-designed physically for the amount of traffic that it has currently. I say probably because, again, I'm not a traffic engineer, but it sort of feels that way. And certainly for the amount of traffic that it could have if there were low traffic treatments within this block. And Riverside too is another one that has a lot of potential, especially as it's next to the park. It's already quite quiet. Has a lot of traffic at commute times and less traffic at other times of day and on weekends. Ideally, there are trips that could stay on the Henry Hudson Parkway and not ever enter this part of the neighborhood. That's for people with much greater level of understanding of traffic patterns and traffic engineering than I have. But that's sort of like the case for this particular little pod. And you can see the numbers are sort of, interesting. Again, 74% non-car households. Cut through traffic in these census tracts is 76%. And there's about 25,000 people that live in this area. And then another example, just to sort of contrast that. So this one is obviously residential as well, because all of the Upper West Side is quite dense, but this is more a mix of schools and cultural institutions and businesses, sort of putting Central Park as almost a cultural institution. In this case, it's an attraction. People go there. People exit Central Park here and get to the Museum of Natural History. You can see all of this traffic coming off the transverse. Now, I wouldn't claim to know how to deal with this traffic, but if there were treatments that could lessen the traffic here and here, this is heading to the Rotunda and to the Henry Hudson Parkway again, 75% cut through traffic. Similar to the other neighborhood and to the district as a whole. And in this area, 80% of households do not own a car. There's also schools. There's two schools. There's one on 78th and one on 77th. So they sort of both abut 77th. That could be a great opportunity. There's also the activities on the weekends here. That would be another great opportunity to kind of think about low traffic neighborhoods in a setting that, and then obviously the commercial on Amsterdam and Columbus. And London, you didn't mention this, you didn't have a slide about it, but London has done treatments on commercial corridors as well. Is that correct?
Definitely. Well, there's two ways to do it. Sometimes they'll they'll use the commercial area to be like is a boundary road or like a kind of skeleton, maybe a busway, and then on either side, there's low traffic neighborhoods. Or sometimes it's within the low traffic neighborhood itself. I mean, it has a very good impact on business. I think, people are there's a reluctance to trust that data, especially if you're a business owner, maybe your livelihood is based on a certain reliability of what has been happening up until this point, but it is quite good for business. The neighborhood, right, comes out and uses the facilities more once it's created. So yeah, it can be in all kinds of, oh yeah, and on the map, it's maybe too far to show, but there's like low traffic neighborhoods in the most dense areas of London, like the Times Square equivalent, and then there's in all the outer boroughs as well. So it just is designed slightly differently. And it looks at a lot of numbers like these, right? How many car owning households are there? How important is a street to the neighborhood and for what uses?
So I think it's interesting to, like, this is an exercise anyone here around this table or listening online could do, like, think about the areas in your neighborhood, in your neck of the Upper West Side, where maybe there's excessive traffic. You just noticed that. Maybe there's excessive speeding. Maybe there's a high pedestrian traffic, but it doesn't feel super safe. We could probably come up with, a half a dozen more sort of characteristics. And then think about where that, how well those areas might benefit from treatments like this. And that would be one way to sort of start to narrow in, kind of doing what we're doing, like narrow in on little pockets where this treatment could be proposed, have DOT look at it, the people who actually can crunch the numbers and know what all of those colors mean in great detail.
Yeah, and that's actually, I don't know if you all had a chance to read the resolution, if we even, get to that point, but that's all that we would be asking DOT to do is to look at it and study it and get back to us if this is even possible in our neighborhood. So it's a pretty,
And Community Board 9, well, you should know that Community Board 9.
Yes.
I don't know whether they got the same presentation, but.
They got a slightly different one. I gave it, they were very enthusiastic, the committee, and they passed it at the next meeting. They thought about it a little bit, thought about a location. They actually did a sort of a spine. It was less a commercial spine, but more a kind of a quiet street spine. It passed the full board, and they asked, I think, for DOT to study a pilot along that.
Right, yeah, it was just sort of asking for them to look at it and do
Yeah.
a proposal or
Yeah,
something.
showing
It was-
enthusiasm for it and saying we want this in our neighborhood.
It was Convent Avenue and Morningside Avenue, which.
That's right, from 113th to 152.
52.
Yeah, not the whole thing, but where along there would this work? And that's what they asked DOT to take a look at.
Just about the quiet neighborhoods and quiet streets. Even on the quiet streets that we have, they're not shared slow streets, right? So I think we shouldn't discount the possibility of also doing it in a quiet place already that could become a shared use space where kids can walk in the street, where you can cross mid-block, right? Where it would still be very transformative, even in a neighborhood where there wasn't excessive traffic, even though I would want it to be in the most
Of course.
heavy traffic area, but it doesn't have to be.
But yeah, you can think of, on the Upper West Side, there's, so many blocks that are relatively quiet, but the street is still very much the dominion of cars and not other uses.
Great. Are we ready to move to discussion?
Definitely.
Okay,
Yep.
Carrie, go ahead.
I have a question. I know that our committee has voiced support for several different elements of this plan before: traffic calming measures, daylighting. But it seems like when we're talking about a low traffic neighborhood in particular, and I think slide 20 and some of the slides adjacent to it really drive home the focus of this. And I think what I heard you say was that this is the map of, vehicular traffic circulation. Traffic can reach all destinations but cannot pass through.
Yeah, maybe
So,
just one of these.
and it was, I think, a little bit one ahead of this, I think, maybe, or two. Yeah, that one. It seems like this is, looking at this example, the way that it doesn't map cleanly to the Upper West Side is that it seems to assume that within the boundary roads, you just have these roads where you can divert traffic. But we're primarily north-south avenues, and it seems like a core element of this plan is the diagonals. So is it correct that if we were to implement something like this on Riverside, you're not driving from 59th Street to 110th on Riverside anymore? That to fully implement it, no more north-south, which would be almost impossible to do on Broadway, Amsterdam, Columbus, on many of them, just to understand the parameters that we're working with when we're saying we endorse this, which I think would put a pretty tight limit on where we could realistically try to implement it, if that's correct.
You want me to take that? Sure. I think West End is maybe a slightly, at least in my mind, slightly easier one to conceive than Riverside, in that diverting traffic in a north-south, way. Because there's no bus on West End from, I think, north of 72nd. There's maybe one turnaround at one point around 79. There's really no need to drive the full length of Riverside unless you're driving through that area, which is the definition of cut through traffic. So I think that is unique on the Upper West Side in this sort of like north-south kind of, diverting traffic or changing direction. One other thing, the Upper West Side with the grid that it kind of has going for it, and sort of a simple treatment would be, this already happens in a couple of places, I think 95th at Amsterdam, where you just flip directions. So you can't drive from Central Park West to Riverside Drive. You can't even drive 2 blocks because you have to get off. And I'm not an engineer and I wouldn't know exactly how, how that would work, how many blocks to do that treatment in or whatever. But that is a simple way, that's a diversion basically, right? And it makes that trip a little longer. It makes it so that you really don't go down that street unless you have business on that street. And in doing that, it reduces the number of people who choose to make that trip. I mean, that's really what this is about, is getting people to choose different modes unless they absolutely have to. Like Talia said, you're trading a little bit of inconvenience for all of these other positive benefits. Does that kind of answer the question a bit?
Somewhat, yes, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, I just wanted to follow up on Kara's question. I think it's a good one. Given that there are only a few arterial north-south streets on the Upper West Side, I'm just not sure exactly how it would, I understand the cross streets, but on the north-south streets, I don't see how it would work. If you could give us an example. Like here, you have 1, 2, 3 streets going, let's say, assume that's north direction. You couldn't do that on the Upper West Side because there aren't that many avenues.
Yeah, I guess I would go to, you don't have 3 lined up like that, but I would go to West End again as that's sort of the one I go to because it's the one I can most easily conceive of changing direction, because it is sort of over-designed and underutilized. You could also you could radically think about Broadway,
Yeah,
right? That's
Broadway.
six lanes of vehicle traffic.
So the low traffic neighborhood would be multiple blocks north and south and basically 2 blocks wide in that case.
Yeah,
2
potentially.
avenues wide.
2 avenues, yeah.
2 avenues wide,
blocks
yeah,
wide,
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And what I found interesting when looking at the data is that Broadway's actually a lot calmer than
Yeah,
Amsterdam
yeah,
and Columbus
yeah.
too, which I was surprised by,
Yeah,
honestly, yeah.
Well, actually, Broadway between 33rd and 23rd.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Those are basically low traffic
Yes.
treatments.
Yeah, and there's a section of Broadway between 73rd and 79th that is very low traffic, especially
Oh, yeah.
North Bend.
That's right.
Because all the northbound traffic goes on
Right,
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
The bus makes a left, I
Yeah.
think, and goes up Broadway. But you could accommodate the bus.
Exactly.
And so that, whatever, 6 blocks could be a low traffic neighborhood. I just ran into somebody on the street who's from out of town. I didn't know him. They were just picking my brain about, and what does a New Yorker think? And he asked me, well, what do you think, New York's gonna look like in 25 years? And I said, first thing that popped into my mind was that Broadway's gonna be pedestrianized from all the way. But anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a good start.
Go ahead.
I have a big picture question and then a more granular one. The big picture one is, what I read about London, has, to the extent that there are any cons to what they've done, is concerns about greenwashing. and just about the environmental impact. And it's, you see it in places in New York City as well, where stuff is, when you say you're moving traffic outward and upward, it's two communities that are eventually going to have to deal with it somewhere. That's gonna go somewhere, right? And so is there anything you guys have thought of related to that? I realize that, like, if you're talking specific to the Upper West Side, it may not be quite the same issue, but it seems like something you would need to think about a little bit before.
I think with London, interestingly that you bring it up, because in London, they've put together like really stringent equity controls on the low traffic neighborhood rollouts. Like, they take a lot of things into consideration. The London DOT funds them, but the neighborhoods decide if they want them. And they've made a lot of use of like pollution data, access to parks, school locations, really just figuring out where the places in highest need. And they prioritize those neighborhoods. I think we could do something similar.
Like, have you talked to places like We Act, you know, that has so much stuff going on in like the very northern part of our district, even?
I don't know if you presented all over, I don't know if they joined.
Or have you guys sought to get their support? in
We'd be
any
happy
way?
to,
for
yeah,
sure,
of
for
course,
sure.
of course.
And I
The
think
more, yeah.
like congestion pricing is an interesting sort of case study in this, that there was a lot of legitimate concern about displacing pollution and traffic. And the latest data is that even in the places where they expected that to happen, it's not. So people genuinely make different decisions. There's a term, I don't know. if
Even
it's a
things like
technical-
along the river, like a Hudson River, is that gonna be impacted by, if the pole is moving some of this congestion and traffic ostensibly to the west, right? To the
Well, what
West
you're
Side
doing
Highway.
is you're actually reducing driving.
It's the opposite of
Right.
induced demand.
We're not
Right, right, so
moving
we-
cars somewhere, we're discouraging trips.
Okay, so that goes to my granular
Yeah.
question. The rideshare industry, that's what I was getting at with my question. Like, to me, congestion pricing has, yes, it's worked in some ways, but I think for a lot of people, it's just like a cost of, for them, it's like people who want to get from point A to point B in Manhattan. That's why I was asking about how many Upper West Siders are using rideshare to get within, not necessarily even the Upper West Side, but they're taking their kids to school from the west side to the east side, using rideshare. It could come from an out-of-state plate. Will this, you know, I'm wondering in the same way with these zones, is there gonna be a backlash from rideshare companies who basically can no longer drop somebody off at their home?
Well, they can though.
But it's gonna be outside the zone, right?
No, there's no zoning. You can, I think well, you've already
It's
said
just
it, but
that,
I'll.
if you're saying it's a
You're not prohibiting access to any street or any particular street
So
address.
how will like the number of vehicles decrease then?
So for anyone who has business in the neighborhood, they will of course need to continue using the streets. And then everyone who doesn't have business in the neighborhood is discouraged to enter the neighborhood. So not a for-hire vehicle because an Uber or Lyft is coming for
What about
business
the
in
guy who
neighborhood.
like is a doorman in a building?
Same, right? They're gonna come to the neighborhood, they have business in the neighborhood, they're gonna stay in the neighborhood, but
And how does that get determined, like who isn't
The-
officially somebody doing business in the
The
neighborhood? versus
discouraging
somebody who
thing is
isn't?
just that it's
They-
less
it's
convenient to
inconvenient.
get there. That's
I
it.
think this slide shows it well.
Yeah,
You
this
can
slide
get
is
to
good.
any address.
Yeah.
There's anyone can get anywhere.
so instead of, right?
Or you just
I mean,
look at
no
the
type
slide.
of vehicle is
Just
prohibited on
Yeah.
any
It's
street.
just a little more, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but my point is that people, when they pay for rideshare, they're paying for convenience, right?
You still
They'll
have that.
pay
the
extra
drive-
couple minutes.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
get there, that's all.
Okay, and
Maybe
then
they might get there
And,
faster.
and right, there's gonna be
True.
less
Who
traffic, so they
knows,
Get
who
there
knows?
quicker because even by going.
But
the
we don't want
circuitous
them,
route,
I mean, we don't, like, I guess what I'm a little concerned about, based on what you're saying, it's a lot of the discussion is centered around sort of those who don't live here versus those that do, and sort of assuming that the people who live in the neighborhood are the only ones who should be entitled to have access or preferred access to the neighborhood to the extent that they're moving around. And I just think that's a little bit unfeasible to think about in the world that we're living in, whether it's an Amazon delivery or whether it's somebody coming in to visit a museum and is coming in using a car and wants to park in a parking garage. But if we're trying to promote tourism or promote sort of as you mentioned, all the great cultural institutions that are in the city. Obviously, we want people to take transit. That would be like a perfect way to bring them in. But like, will something like this impact? Will there be an economic development impact potentially to this in any way?
What is London?
And I'm not trying to. play
Yeah,
devil's
no, I
advocate
mean,
with you, I'm
no,
just
it's
trying
okay, it's
to
okay, of
be-
course, this is a new concept, it's important, right, to. hash
Yeah, and it
out.
is the Upper West Side, which is like, in addition to being residential, it's also a tourist destination,
Sure.
and there are a lot of people coming in from other places.
So two things, economically, I would say that these kinds of models are really beneficial for neighborhoods. So, whether it's on the Upper West Side or in another neighborhood, they're a benefit to the businesses because more people are spending time outside even than are right now. And the businesses thrive. But to your question about whether everyone, when we say everyone who has business in the neighborhood is still gonna be able to use the neighborhood, we're really just talking about incentives. A doorman can drive to the neighborhood just like a resident can drive to the neighborhood. The delivery truck can get to the neighborhood. But if you're driving from all the way north to get all the way south, your Google Maps is no longer gonna route you in the most like fastest way to get, all the way down. So it's gonna take you off the highway to avoid traffic jams on the highway. And then it's gonna take you maybe to West End first, and then, you're gonna hit too many lights and it's gonna move you back to the highway. So what we're doing is changing the approach of driving, which is, trying to find all these fast routes to go through neighborhoods. And instead say, no, this is not a neighborhood you go through. This is a neighborhood where you do business, if you have business. So it's the through driving that you're disincentivizing.
I understand that. I understand what you're trying to get at. I just am trying
Yeah.
to think more broadly about this neighborhood in particular. And again, my biggest picker question is really the displacement related issues of the congestion and the pollution, which I think is still, and I think I agree with Corey with your point about the north side stuff, but you answered that. I understand. So.
Sorry, I don't understand it as displacement though, right? Maybe I'm understanding it wrong, but it's like everybody still has the same access. You'll just be slightly inconvenienced because you maybe have to take a more.
I'm talking more about
nuanced-
the environment, like the environmental use.
I think it's a little counterintuitive,
unforeseen
but what does happen over time is that there's less driving and there's less pollution and there's less
Okay.
noise and there's less, like a lot less in the area that has the treatments, but less even on the boundary roads and less even as you get further out because there's just
Right,
overall
but
less
people are
driving.
still gonna want Amazon delivered.
And it'll still get there.
Right, so that's, you can't say that it's gonna decrease
Oh,
driving.
but
I think
it's,
overall, just in the aggregate, right? Amazon was 4%, right? The freight is 4% of traffic. 60% of it is, over 60% is private vehicles. And it's those private vehicles that we're really kind of focused on,
I
right?
think that's why the through traffic data that Carl shared is important. I think it's conceptually, it's hard to believe, I think, just how much of the
No,
traffic
that's very compelling.
is
I
not,
mean, yeah,
is
yeah.
not the regular use in the neighborhood. Sorry, here. So we always assume that it's local people driving around or people who have local business driving around, but 75% is probably not.
So who are those people? But yeah, so, I mean, I'm curious, I'm genuinely curious about that.
Everyone in the room.
please step forward.
185th Street, 61st Street, and I'll come back up Amsterdam on through traffic.
You're always through traffic somewhere, right? Because unless you're just
I
driving on your
understand,
block.
I understand, I just,
But I think the key concept here is that there are targeted streets that you intentionally want to calm, that you want to reduce traffic on those streets in particular for whatever reason. It could be a business corridor, it could be residential blocks. And you do that by pushing traffic onto boundary roads, which are wider generally and designed to handle more traffic. So rather than having that cut through traffic go through an area that,
I totally get what, like,
Right.
I'm not like gonna rebound this, like, totally get what you're saying, I just, for me, I'm just trying to think about some of these, the things that are happening in the neighborhood now with traffic patterns and so forth, and trying to square it with what you're trying to do.
But this could prompt like more innovative things, like if it's hard to get to a certain address
True.
For Amazon to get to a certain address, then maybe we have a micro hub. And where it transfers to, bike delivery or something.
They're already
And
doing
we're
And
already-
that.
and they're already doing it, right, so, but
And the
there could be a
command
lot
cars
more.
too,
of
right?
it.
You see the double parking on Columbus and
Right,
Amsterdam
right.
and then.
I guess the thing I
Riverfront.
see a lot of is just, and it's separate and distinct from this issue. That like people who are using cars are using a lot of rideshare when they could be using a train. We're in a neighborhood that is very blessed. Without Andrew here, I will speak on his behalf, that like transit to me is like the number one thing for people in this neighborhood. We don't have any right to complain about not having like, what, 3 lines, like going again, north-south. So like,
Great
that-
buses too.
exactly. So like, that to me is something that, but I do see as people have more and more disposable income, they're using rideshare because they're in a hurry and they need to get from point A to point B in Midtown to the Upper West Side, and they think it's faster to take a rideshare.
Yeah.
And
But I think that, the idea here, correct me if I'm wrong, is to disincentivize cutting through.
Yes.
Stop
That's- yeah,
using,
well said.
stop using your
Yeah.
car for whatever reason, or your truck, or whatever your vehicle is. And coming through the city in any way as just a highway,
Mhm.
just a
Yes.
bypass. If you're coming to the neighborhood in your car, whether you took a train, but if you're coming to stop at the Museum of Natural History, then park your vehicle, get
Mhm.
out of it and take your family to the museum.
Mhm.
We might prefer that you do it a different way, but at least you're not cutting through, you're coming to.
It's
Right.
discouraging
Exactly.
through
We're
traffic. yes.
discouraging
I think
using
that's-
yeah.
Amsterdam
As
instead
a
of
highway,
Yeah.
the West Side Highway.
right.
It's a
And so I
behavior
think
shift.
that's the
Mhm.
Yeah.
notion, right?
I think it's a great
It's a
idea.
Right.
behavior shift.
It's a behavior, yeah, and I was gonna ask you to
Isn't that what he
compare
said?
this to the 14th Street effort that's gone on
Mhm.
since, I don't know,
Yeah.
COVID,
The
right?
busway. Yeah,
Um,
that's a great,
And they're redesigning it yet again now.
yeah, it seems like they're taking a look at making it a bit more permanent.
Right, so I
Um,
wondered if that's a fair comparison, because that's east-west, not
Yeah.
north-south.
I think there are aspects of it that are, that speak to this, to low traffic neighborhoods. I think the displacement of traffic maybe being the most salient. There was a lot of concern, lawsuits that dragged on
Yes,
about the spillover traffic onto neighborhood, local streets. It just never happened.
mhm.
It never happened.
Yeah.
People made different choices. And I think we don't, human nature is a funny thing, obviously, but we often, we just don't account for the fact that people will make a different choice. We know what we know and we assume they're gonna keep doing it, they're gonna find a way, but they decide to take the bus because it's faster, or they decide to go a different route because they can no longer drive straight through. And that's what this, low traffic neighborhood concept is sort of like grounded in.
yeah, no, look, I mean, when City Bike wanted to come, everyone was concerned about it, and now people, those same people are,
Yeah.
bugging us about there not being enough City Bike. So, I mean, I understand the behavioral changes aspect of it. I've been reading about some of the cons and just trying to play devil's advocate. of it.
I think we want to suspend the committee discussion and see if the public and somebody has their name up or hand up.
So I loved your first example of 96 to, was it 106 or 110, because that's my neighborhood. So I would love to see the committee not only bless this, but also choose that example. One data point that I thought is really interesting was a number of years ago, someone in the 20th precinct gave us a stack of crash reports, of over 100 crash reports. And a few of us sat at this table and went through them and categorized them. And what we found was that only 15% of the vehicles that were in crashes in the 20th precinct were registered in Manhattan. And 63% were registered in New York City. The rest are from out of state. So, from a safety standpoint, if we can get through traffic not to be in our neighborhood, not only is it making the neighborhood nicer, it's also making it safer.
Well,
That's
Yeah.
very
Does
compelling.
anybody online?
We do, but we have another,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. My name's Fred Sofa. I belong to TNT up in CV12, so I come here, Yeah, don't be,
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Fun if I have been in Berkeley, California, where my brother lives. He lives in a low traffic neighborhood. He's got over 20 years.
Nice.
First thing, is it Corey who's talking about the geometry?
Jerry.
Okay, so
in Berkeley, it's arterial, then it's like 5 blocks in between, or three going east and west, and maybe 10 north and south, so obviously it's much easier. As you're there the first time, you'll come across a dead end, you'll be like, WTF, and then after you're there for a couple of weeks, you know your way around, and there's no traffic on those streets, there's just not, because everyone used to cut through on them, and there's literally no reason to, because one, you don't know where you're going, you'll get a dead end, and it'll be the end of the world. And they have dead ends where you have to turn around, they don't have a nice flow that they present. Well, like, here you are, too bad, go back. And they're very effective. And so the questions that were brought up here about the geometry, or the thing that, obviously the West End Avenue seems like it's doable. The one on Amsterdam, that seems a little trickier, but this thought on Broadway, because it's a two-way avenue, something that would seem right and would be wonderful. And I know there's a lot of benefits, and it's hard because the data is totally counterintuitive. When you get rid of a street, the traffic literally disappears, it doesn't go anywhere else. In the Sam Schwartz books, we started
I know,
noticing
yeah.
this in the 70s.
I'm aware,
It simply hasn't gone away, so it's like this weird space that you're in, you just have to realize that the more you cut down, the better you'll be. And so like in CD12, obviously, it's way more fragmented, there's only one through street.
Yeah.
Or with the island, which is Broadway, so you can start to see all these separate geometries that could easily become common, and there are not a lot of traffic now, it's almost everybody is searching. So, you know, for me, and now I'm just like spouting because everyone's listening, so I also love, you know, resident only permit parking, which I came here and spouted about. I'd like everyone to have to pay for parking. I'd like every block in Manhattan to be metered. If you drive, you pay.
Yeah.
And that'll cut down traffic, and 75% of traffic is just going through. And if you make the transit alternatives better, but you also make the cost of driving, just pay the cost of driving. It's like Milton Friedman, come over to the radical left, and make everybody pay for driving. There'll be a lot less people driving. And if you pay for this free parking, which is New York City maintains and built, that should not be free. And if you start paying for that, then you will see cars dissipating. And then this question of what is gonna be 25 years from now with automated cars and e-bike delivery and all this thing. Maybe there won't be any private vehicles parked on private streets and in public streets in Manhattan because you won't need it. And if you're gonna take a car to the second home, it will just drive to you. Suddenly all the streets are free and we'll be enjoying these low traffic neighborhoods. It'll be the most amazing place on earth, and real estate prices soar.
All right. Do we have somebody online?
Yeah.
We hope the residents- And, thank you for.
Great.
Oh,
Thank you for coming down here. Jennifer online.
Hi, yeah, if you hear noise in the background, that's the West Side Highway out my window. But speaking of traffic, so yeah, I'm all for trying to discourage private car use, any cars really, car share too. I think we have great public transit here on the Upper West Side. We have there's really not a lot of reason for it, for people to use cars. That said, I know some people do need it for certain reasons. I just wanted to bring up two potential accessibility issues I see. And in terms of disability, and I'm particularly speaking from the perspective of someone with a severe vision impairment. So one is my first question is, would any changes in the traffic patterns that would be implemented as part of this, whatever pilot or whatever, whatever it would be, would that automatically trigger the installation by the DOT of accessible pedestrian signals at those intersections? Because otherwise the traffic patterns would be incredibly confusing for someone who is blind or vision impaired to try to cross. And then let me just get my other question out there. which is a concern. This is less about the Upper West Side. I live on the Upper West Side, but more of an issue where there's hospitals, I guess, is what I'm thinking of. But I've run into an issue. The reason I'm worried about, you said that everywhere would be accessible by car. But from what I could see, and again, I don't see that well, from your diagram, it looked like half a block was not accessible by car. And I do need to rely on Access-a-Ride sometimes, especially getting to doctor appointments, because of like accessibility issues with the streets around the city. And I've run into issues about, like, up by Columbia University Medical Center, there's a part of, I don't know if you're familiar, I think the people presenting would probably be familiar with this, but there's something that was closed off. It's technically Haven Avenue. It was converted to Haven Plaza, where Haven Ave meets 168th or turns into 168th Street at Fort Washington Avenue. So that's all medical buildings. And when I take Access-a-Ride to get there, because of this closed off Haven Plaza, the driver cannot get me to in front of the building, the medical building. It's part of the hospital that I need to go to. Even though that's just, a small part of a block. It's not a lot, but it's enough to be very problematic, especially for people with more mobility issues. I can move, but I won't know where I am if it's an unfamiliar place. So I need the driver to get me exactly to that door, or I can't find my way. So I just wanted to make sure that you are considering these and you're addressing them. And yeah, those were my questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are great questions and super valid, and the kind of thing that, has to be thought through in great detail. Tully, do you have anything to add on do you know anything about the pedestrian buttons?
No, I mean, DOT would have to apply the same protocols and, they would, this is a very preliminary conversation. The DOT would need to be very involved in owning these projects and making sure that they address core accessibility needs in a neighborhood. The model shouldn't come in the way of accessibility. It should enhance accessibility if possible. So I can't speak for how DOT deals with new changes or new models, but I think this is a very important issue to make sure that they address. The model doesn't require taking away access at all.
Absolutely. And I think to the point about being able to access every address, like at that address, there's nothing in the model that prevents that. Decisions could be made along the way to, like, that plaza block on that diagram in front of the school that Talia showed very schematically. That's a little bit like the Haven Plaza thing you're talking about. Those will be the product of robust discussions with DOT and presentations and with this committee and with the board. And but the low traffic neighborhood model, like a first stage pilot, would simply be to reroute the direction of certain streets, but you would still have access to absolutely every address on those streets.
Yeah, I guess Haven Avenue is no traffic neighborhood.
Yeah, right.
Or block.
Right, it's shut down as one of those, like, where the street is permanently removed.
Right, it's DMAP.
That's right.
So.
Right.
We have one more comment from the public. Ryan, do you want to go ahead?
Sure, thank you. So this is my first time asking a question, and also just a comment. So I live on the Upper West Side, and I occasionally drive to work in New City, which is in Rockland County. And it's become a little bit stressful with, the road closures, et cetera, to get to work and back. I also have family in New Jersey who occasionally visit New York City. And I'm just curious to know, with this proposal that's put forth, is it factored into folks, who actually do reverse commute, who actually live in the city and work outside and then have to come back, how it might impact people like me? And the only reason I called into this call is because it's really become stressful. So I have to, find alternative ways to, as it is, to get to the West Side Highway and back. But if this new proposal is trying to reduce traffic more, I'm just curious to hear if people like me are factored into this design of any sort. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think you would benefit from this design, because you live in the neighborhood. And again, what we're trying to do is reduce the through drivers in the neighborhood. So you'll see an overall decrease in driving in your neighborhood. In exchange, you may have to take a different route or learn a new route.
No,
Different from what you might be used to, but you should have fewer cars in your neighborhood to get around, and it should be easier driving in your neighborhood. So it would mean.
I'm sorry. The reason I called in is because it's become very stressful, and streets are arteries of any town or of any city. And I think the more we block streets, the less it becomes, like, movement becomes, it hinders free movement. And I'm sorry, it's just too stressful right now I haven't left work because I'm sitting in my parking lot trying to decide what time to leave to get efficiently back home. And if more streets are going to be closed in this way, it doesn't help. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just say one more thing to that, Ryan, and thank you for that comment. And it's, again, all commuting patterns are considerations. I think for folks who have to drive, who have a reverse commute like that, the goal of a model like this is to reduce traffic, reduce driving, reduce VMT across the board. And you see these kind of benefits that are most impactful in the area that's being treated with the model, the low traffic neighborhood model. But you see benefits concentrically out to everyone who has to drive. It should be easier to drive overall because there's less traffic. A more circuitous route doesn't necessarily mean a longer trip if there is less traffic overall.
Because
that's the idea.
Because it sort of separates people who don't necessarily have to drive from, like, this guy who does have to.
That's right. And over time, people make those choices because of the sort of like incentives, convenience or inconvenience of it.
I have a question that might go to this. What do you have data on, what the drop is from the through traffic? Like, if you're saying there's 70%, right? So in neighborhoods and other cities that have done this, would it drop to? How much did it drop? 10%? Did it drop 20%?
Does London have that?
I haven't
data?
seen that data. That's a good question. I'd be interested to look at it.
Because that would be helpful for him, if that's what has happened before, then Ryan Thomas can be like, oh, okay, well, that would be good. Getting that number.
Yeah, so driving went down 50%.
Oh, wow.
50% overall less driving in that neighborhood than there was before. So 1 out of 2 cars are not gonna be there. It's very felt.
That's pretty good.
Whether, I don't know what percent of those are through drivers.
But you did say the boundaries also went down.
The boundaries also went down. but-
Which the West Side Highway would be one.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there's several boundaries around a low traffic neighborhood and they will see a reduction.
Gotcha. And then I just wanted to say from lived experience, as a tourist, I was in London last Christmas and, you know, we would take cabs and ride shares to, the neighborhoods that had it and no, there was no issue. Like we weren't sitting in traffic, you know, for a very long time and you could easily just get in and get dropped off. No problem. So didn't have any problems with that sort of thing while there.
Yeah, I've been to the Hackney location. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, so second
I
that.
think Jamie had.
Okay.
May I say something about the
Yes.
resolution? So I can really hear Ryan's concern, if not pain. I would underscore that this is a resolution to, ask for a pilot, not the actual change in our footprint. And we've asked for pilot programs before. And a lot of that requires, DOT to roll it out in the right way, as we learned the hard
Right.
way. I don't know if we want to just say that. I don't know if Colleen is still listening, or if we want to put something in here asking for, pilot program, blah, 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 blah. And that DOT evaluate the current patterns of cut through traffic in the neighborhood with due notice to the community,
Of course, yeah.
just so we don't end up
Yeah.
with the
Okay, we can add that in, yeah.
Should we,
last August situation again.
if it sounds like we're now talking.
Well,
about the
I thought we might.
Yeah,
move
it's
forward.
already-
Yeah.
it's almost
We're
9,
trying to move
yeah.
it along.
Laura, you had, and we'll wrap
I
up
can
with
take it
you.
home. I'd like to first of all address Ryan's concern
Mhm.
about blockage. We're not, this is not no traffic, this is low traffic. You're not blocking any roads or arteries. You're just slowing down the traffic, making it less convenient, which changes behavior, much in the same way when you make something more expensive, you change behavior. So this is really an opportunity for us to slow people down, make things safer. And it benefits everyone, and the inconvenience has so many ripple effects of improving the efficiency for those who do have to drive through the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I'm excited at this idea.
It's sort of the opposite of induced demand, and for the people who don't know, that's when they built an extra highway and they figure, oh, traffic will go away, and they created all
Los
this additional
Angeles.
demand. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And you can't build your way out of traffic.
Right.
So this is kind of, if you design for it, it reaches some kind of equilibrium, and I think that's what this is trying to do.
The term I've heard is traffic evaporation,
Mhm.
when you take a lane away
I
from
think-
traffic.
Slow strong.
If you take it away, they will leave.
I don't know if that gets people to, yeah, I mean, I agree with it.
Little twilight zone.
I think the PR messaging of it might be a little,
I'll move for the resolution.
Yeah, let's do it. I
Okay.
second.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we should
Could I make a?
suggest a couple of
Yeah.
locations. And not be prescriptive about it, but just say you might want to look at West End between 106th and 98th or
In
97th.
the resolution.
In the
so-
resolution. And also, I'm thinking about crosstown streets, because like you mentioned 95th, where at Amsterdam, you can't go all the way through.
Aren't we
There-
already looking at somebody's second?
there are a lot of crosstown streets that, or the people say, oh, there's a lot of traffic on that street. And I don't think anybody knows why. Probably the drivers know why. But that could be a way of discouraging, because a lot of people will just go park to park, all the way through trying to make all the lights. My ex-brother-in-law used to do that. And so maybe this is an opportunity, maybe, suggesting to DOT, they may want to look at that as another possibility. I don't know, is that?
Just really quickly, are those the only two like warehouses?
Yeah.
Those two bullet points? Could you just maybe add something? I was sold a little bit more when we started referencing the reference to through traffic. And I don't think through traffic is even mentioned in this resolution at all, like the word through traffic. Like about how,
It's cut through traffic.
where is that?
Yes, it's at the end of the first bullet.
Yeah, so maybe something instead of say like reducing through traffic in the neighborhood, something that implies that. And also just along those same lines, I was gonna suggest like, can we flip that first bullet point so that the first request is to evaluate the current patterns of through traffic.
Okay,
And
so,
then with the goal being support for a pilot program. I feel like to support a pilot program before there's been any evaluation of through traffic doesn't make sense.
okay, yeah.
I proposed a comment, I think. doing
Sorry,
something
I
like-
can't type and think. So, but you said with the hope of reducing cut through traffic, and then I'll take out, the pilot program and put it as like a second bullet, right?
Yeah, or just
Okay.
like have it start out with a request that
Evaluate.
that DOT evaluate the patterns so that I want to put the impetus, I want to give them some DOT some guidance, like with the specific areas that you guys are going to mention, but I also think we need to leave it up to the experts to determine
Mm-hmm.
what the patterns are so that they can make good choices accordingly.
Carrie, what was your amendment?
I think I'd left a comment.
Yeah.
Proposing something
Mm-hmm.
along those lines to split it up into two different resolves and do something similar to that.
Okay.
It should be in the document already.
Oh, okay. I think I have it on the Word doc. Unfortunately, I downloaded it. So I'm editing it in real time. I can get out of this and go to the Google Doc.
It's okay, it may not be.
Do you want to share your screen? Are you on the Zoom?
No, I had put it in the document previously.
Okay.
It's not there.
You want to put in the resolution proposed zones?
Suggested, yeah.
I don't necessarily, like, I would kind of leave it up to them,
Yeah,
but,
okay.
I don't know, like, yeah, I'm,
I think that would be
whatever.
Okay.
But I would
I'm
not-
I'm just thinking CB9. They put it in their resolution. They said, look at Convent Avenue.
How would we come up with proposed zones?
Well, we just heard a couple
West
of
End Avenue
suggestions.
is
West-
certainly a
West End
direction.
Avenue.
I mean, it's,
To
and
start.
I mean,
But
don't we
those
want
are
to
by-
see the data for like the TOT information first?
Yeah,
Personally, I think 61st to 72nd between Columbus and Central Park West would be a right one. Broadway doesn't have all that much traffic, actually.
Is that where you live?
Yes, that's exactly what I, yes, good guess.
You know, I think 87th and Amsterdam would be great too. If we can get real specific.
59 to 110.
Yeah.
Oh, so, yeah, I do think we should put something in about notice to the community.
Yeah, okay, got it. I'll make this sound nicer,
somewhere.
but yeah, okay, cool. Okay, Carrie, can you just tell me what you're thinking and I'll try to type it in?
No, you can disregard it, it's okay.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so you made a motion to vote on this. I
Yes.
seconded. So are we ready to vote?
Call the question.
Okay, call to
All right.
question. Okay,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow, 9.
amazing.
Any
No,
non-committee online? No, I don't think so.
You can put me down,
but I don't think it matters.
Oh,
thank you.
Alex. You're still here.
Of course it matters.
Alex, you're hanging in there, man.
Alex, we forgot about your bike thing.
Yeah, I have a new
Yeah.
business. I have a new business item you're gonna find interesting. But,
Can
yeah.
you hang on until new business?
New business. I'm ready.
No,
Okay.
we're not quite ready for it
Thank
yet.
you.
Oh, I know.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening and for all
Very
the
interesting.
really great
Thank you.
questions.
Yeah,
This
good
is really
questions.
interesting.
Great
Thank you.
presentation.
Okay, we're gonna skip the no parking zones, unfortunately. That'll be covered next time, and then we'll do new business. Okay,
Okay,
Alex, do you wanna jump?
Okay, so I have a new business item. Some of you were there at the great meeting last night, chaired wonderfully by other members there, including Jamie. And I thought it was quite interesting. I didn't really interject, but I thought there was a somewhat. I was a little bit confused about some of the statements about like 250-pound bikes going 35 miles an hour and stuff because like I don't understand where some of those data points are coming from. So I had Claude.
Did somebody
I-
say that? I don't
I don't
think
know.
so.
I had Claude, my good friend, create a game which I want to share to everyone on our Slack channel. Elizabeth Caputo, plug to the Slack channel.
Yeah.
Which you could, but I want to play it now very quickly.
My passcode is now in the Slack channel, so if anyone
Yes.
needs access to the Wi-Fi.
To be fair, I think, Alex, if somebody said that, an e-bike was a 250-pound rocket, I think they were being, you know.
Okay, but anyway, let's play my game, and I'm gonna share it to you guys. So
Okay,
just-
let's
just-
find out.
Anybody
scream,
with-
just scream out your answer, okay? And we'll put it in. So is this is a commuter bike sold at RAI? Is it a regular bike, class 1 e-bike, class 2 e-bike, class 3 e-bike? What is it? Shout it out. What do you think?
Regular bike.
It could be an e-bike.
Yeah, that could be an e-bike. I think that's an e-bike.
Really?
It's a class
my
1 e-bike.
That's
Yeah, turbo.
amazing.
I
That's
can
a
see
very
that-
expensive bike, by the way.
That thick thing.
It's,
the
uh,
electronics.
It's
Where is
it's-
it? Where's the
yeah,
mechanism?
It's a
The thick
specialized turbo.
Oh, yes.
Specialized turbo. It's 33 pounds and it's a class 1, meaning it has no throttle. Okay, next one.
Did you design this yourself?
Claude did it.
Oh,
Claude did it.
I was so impressed for a moment.
Okay, what's this one?
Regular bike.
That's a
This looks like a
regular bike.
Regular bike.
Nice, regular bike. Good job.
Whoa.
That's a class 2.
Where's the throttle? It's on the
Class
handlebar?
2. Nice. Rad City.
14, okay.
Ooh.
Is that also class 2?
Class 2, it has class 3 is.
3 kids. What?
Regular
And
bike.
400 pounds of groceries.
So this goes to the point about
Right.
There's one of those on our lot.
yeah. So one of the arguments that was made, I laid a lot yesterday, which is about weight. So this is 48 pounds as a regular bike. So it's more than an e-bike. It's almost twice the weight of the e-bike we talked about.
Especially with all those groceries.
Oh my God, what the hell?
Class 2?
It's the ugliest thing I've ever seen.
Class
Dang.
1 e-bike. Class 1
Have
e-bike.
to add the weight
No
of-
editorial, no editorial.
Must have to add the weight of the driver.
Classic, regular.
Regular.
Wow, that's so nice.
Yeah,
Nice,
regular.
classic.
Old school.
Regular.
Class
Class
1,
one.
class 1.
Yeah,
Yeah, class 1.
Class 1. That's the Trek. That's the e-bike also.
Trek to man.
Class 1.
Ooh, Cannondale.
Class
Oh,
1.
okay.
Wow.
It's a lot of class 1s.
I've only missed one.
Okay,
That
this
is
yeah.
2 or 3. What is
Yeah.
it?
2?
Yeah, this is very
No,
popular.
this is three.
Move it down a little
Yeah,
so we can see the
can't see that
handlebars.
one, Alex.
We can't see the
Okay.
handlebars.
This one is confusing. So Claude
Because we
says
can
it's
see
a
the handlebars.
moped.
No, it's a 3.
Why? So Claude says that this Arrow e-bike is 65 pounds, but goes above 28 miles per hour. And so it says that the New York State considers it a moped, not even a bicycle. So okay.
Even though it has
Wow.
pedals.
And
Even though
it
it has
says
pedals.
it's called an electric bike. That's what it's an aero.
Right.
Oh,
electric
what
bike.
is that thing?
That's a regular.
That's
one.
it, E-moto.
That's a non-street legal dirt
Yeah,
bike.
yeah,
E-moto goes
The
55.
subject of next month's
Yeah.
resolution.
E-moto.
Mini bike,
E-moto.
Emoto,
Oh,
Cute.
moped.
Okay.
moped.
Mhm.
E-scooter.
Oh, come on.
Easy.
28 pounds. If it's 28 pounds, what is it?
Class 1? No.
You mean the little
Class-
scooter?
This one was a class 1. 38 pounds, what is it?
Oh, we're going back through.
Two.
Regular.
Regular bike. So the point is, like, there are some that are very heavy. There are some that are
Yeah, like the
not
city
so
bikes,
heavy.
the classic city bikes weigh a ton.
Right.
Yeah, they're heavy.
Yeah.
65.
I
Oh, I
will-
didn't do very.
right. So I will share it to everyone in our Slack channel. More incentive to join the Slack. And I think it's a cool game because it shows that like the weight is not really very clear. The kind of like classes are somewhat confusing. But yeah, I will share it and please play with the game.
Well, and speed too. You can go really fast on a bike.
Also, if bikes were licensed, I just found this out. Right now, the police can't have a pretext for pulling over a regular cyclist. Unless there's just cause, they think you.
Probable cause, yeah.
The probable cause. But if there were licenses and registration for e-bikes, then they would, because of what we just saw, they would have a pretext for pulling over a regular cyclist because they wouldn't know what kind of bike it was and they'd have to check. So
Mhm.
they could pull you over and say, well, is that an e-bike and where's your registration? You don't have, if it is an e-bike, but if it
Hang out
isn't.
over here while I figure out what kind
Right,
of bike
and
this
and let me
is.
check your
I have
pocket.
to go on the Slack channel.
Check it with Alex Bell.
It's just,
I do
it's
think-
another
yeah.
consideration for licensing.
exactly. I do think that some of those need to get checked though before we upload it to Slack, because like the Deliverista one, I'm not sure if that's a mopeds. And this was all AI too, so I just don't want it to be
Listen,
like AI slop.
How
like that.
dare you? How
So
dare
just,
you?
yeah.
Claude is
No,
good,
no,
Claude
we'll
is
see, we'll
good.
see. But yeah, that's just like a nice precursor for next week's resolution, because like we said,
Next
we
month.
want it next month, sorry, to distinguish between the classes and license appropriately. And then, I'm sorry, I forgot, Colleen, if you're still on the line, we had a possible update on micro hubs from you, but I know you were out last week and we can cover this next week as well.
This was entertaining. I really enjoy this exercise, just so you know.
More games, more games.
Yes, I was out next week. I was in Iceland, which I had a wonderful
Oh,
time.
nice.
Yeah, just so you know. And it was so nice there when I tell you, really nice. Regarding micro hubs, we are still finalizing the analysis and the data. I know it's a pilot, so once everything is finalized, we'll come to the community board, or I will share with you the analysis, and my colleague will join me as well. So I'll keep you posted on that. I do have good news regarding the Central Park Drives repaving and redesign. So we will be implementing the next phase of the Central Park Drives redesign in the park north of West 96th Street and East 90th Street. We're going to allocate space consistently across the drives for different user groups. We're going to better separate pedestrians from cyclists and other high-speed users. We're also going to modify the signals to clearly designate them for cyclists to improve compliance, and we are going to repave the drives. So this work is scheduled to begin in mid-March. I have a What's Happening Here flyer, which I will send to the CB office tomorrow morning. I will also disseminate it to the electeds and to the bid and various stakeholders to let them know. So we are on track with completing the second section of the Central Park Drives, just so you know. And we will be coming soon to the CB in April. I will reach out to Jesse and Alex to schedule an upcoming meeting. It's good news, but I'm not going to tell you anything yet. But we are planning to come to the CB in April. With some
Is
good
that
stuff.
regarding 72nd Street?
I'm not saying anything. It's good
Colleen,
news.
is there any update on the bike corral? Or is that the good news?
In the bike corral, of course, with the weather, let me follow up with the unit because it should be completed, or it's going to be completed shortly. I mean, the weather's getting good, so I'm hoping we're going to wrap it up. I know that.
I haven't seen any activity there. I was just wondering.
We could go
Well,
into the e-bike study.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, it's because of the weather and.
Hoping that we're gonna see, I can't wait to see it.
I know, right? We'll have a ribbon cutting ceremony for that one. Of course, with the weather played a large factor, and then our marking season is over. So once the weather improves, we will finish that. We'll wrap up the bike corral and we'll implement the markings.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
Definitely.
On the
Mhm.
good news, are you saying that you would be coming to our April meeting about that?
Yes.
Or just-
We'll be coming to the April meeting, but I will, I need to finalize, with my colleagues, some of the stats that they're working on. So we're looking to come to the April meeting. I will reach out to again, to Jesse and Alex to schedule that. I will give you a heads up within the next week or so, okay?
By the way, Alex is no longer with us.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear.
Yes, I think we're looking for a new Alex, but, and also on the Central Park Drives, you know about, well, for one thing, I guess you're assuming there'll be no more snow. Can you promise this?
I wish.
Do you know, about how long it'll take?
For the paving?
Yeah.
So for the milling and paving, it's weather dependent. I can't, again, just like with DDC and the water main project, it's with having to deal with the subcontractors in moving utilities. It's our milling and paving, depending on the weather. If the weather's good, it may take, maybe 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. But if we get rain, of course, that'll delay it.
Okay, well, the first part, they did really fast. I was really
Yes.
impressed.
Mhm.
Doug has a question.
Yeah, just minor. On 91st in Amsterdam, we had talked about this corner before. I think originally we thought it was daylighting, but it's actually some bike corrals. I just wanted to.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to point out that there was some damage on the Amsterdam Avenue side of the bike corrals, and also don't call them bollards. What are those little things that are
Stanchions.
The flex post, uh-huh.
Yeah, the flex posts were removed, I guess. I think it had to do with snow and. a lot
Yeah.
of Just want to point out that there's been some damage to that, so if your team can look at it eventually.
Sure, 91st in Amsterdam. I will let them know.
Thanks.
Thanks, Doug.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Colleen.
You're welcome. Take care.
Okay.
No more new business?
Just next month, the the speaker on autonomous vehicles is the former mayor of Austin, Steve Adler.
Cool.
Had an op-ed in City and State a few weeks ago about Waymo and autonomous vehicle testing in the city, which they had been doing some testing in Manhattan, on the Upper West
Yeah,
Side.
yeah.
They're not doing it now, and it looks like they're not gonna be doing it now for a while, but he has some suggestions on what worked, what could work, and the importance of having community input. So he is a big evangelist for things like that project if it happens to come through community boards. So we wanted to offer ourselves up as a place, since he doesn't know what community boards really are in Manhattan. It's an opportunity for him to learn a little bit from us too, so.
Great.
And hopefully he will be the speaker, or a speaker, and I realize now with Colleen's stuff, we can talk about whether we want. it.
Yeah.
Up to you guys.
It's what we think it is.
Do you think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
72nd
Yeah,
Street?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that would be something.
Exciting. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Guys, thank you. Good night.